They thought they were opening a storage box. Instead, they opened a nightmare. It starts with a sound. The low hum of police radios cutting through the quiet night. Blue lights flicker across the white siding of a suburban home. Officers stand frozen, staring at something they wish they hadn't seen. Detective Claire Monroe steps forward, her breath visible in the cold air. "Who found it?" she asks, her voice low but sharp. A younger officer points to the basement door. Inside, a broken wooden crate sits open on the floor. The smell is thick, metallic, and raw. Claire crouches beside it, the beam of her flashlight trembling slightly as it reveals a small, pale object wrapped in plastic. Something that once belonged to someone? "How can a family live over this for years?" she whispers. The camera lingers on her face as the silence stretches. The suburban calm outside contrasts with the horror inside. The dog barking next door, a wind chime gently ringing, life moving as though nothing happened. But inside this house, time is stopped. Something has been unearthed that was never meant to see light again. The air inside the Hawthorne house feels wrong. Too clean, too silent. Detective Claire Monroe walks through the hallway where family portraits line the walls. Smiling faces stare back, frozen in time. A photograph catches her attention. Daniel, Emily, and a young boy holding a model airplane. The boy's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "That's Liam," Officer Grant says quietly from behind her. "He's been missing for 8 years. Claire nods, eyes narrowing. "And no one ever searched here?" she asks. The silence that follows is deafening. A clock ticks. The sound grows louder until it feels like a countdown. She steps closer to a locked door at the end of the hall. Faint scratch marks trace its edges. "Open it," she orders. The locked door groans open, revealing a small storage room. The smell of bleach fills the air. Boxes are stacked neatly, too neatly. Claire kneels, opening one. Inside are dozens of videotapes labeled with dates. The earliest one is from the year Liam disappeared. "What's this?" she mutters. Grant shines his light closer, revealing a left marker, Liam. Practice sessions. The handwriting is shaky, almost desperate. Claire's hand trembles as she picks up the tape. "Bag them all," she says. "We'll see what they were practicing." Outside the house, thunder rumbles, and the first drops of rain begin to fall. In the living room, Daniel and Emily Hawthorne sit together on the couch, their faces pale. Claire stands before them, holding one of the tapes. "Do you want to tell me what this is before I watch it?" she asks. Daniel's eyes dart to the floor. Emily's lips tremble, but she says nothing. The sound of rain against the windows grows louder. "We did what we had to do," Daniel finally mutters. "Hey, wasn't right." Claire steps closer. "Your son," she presses. Emily lets out a soft cry. "You don't understand," she whispers. "We were trying to fix him." Claire looks down at the tape again, her hand tightening around it. "What did you do to him?" Claire inserts the tape into an old player set up in the police van outside. Static fills the screen before an image appears. A dimly lit basement. A boy stands facing the wall, motionless. A man's voice says, "Again!" The boy turns slowly, and his face comes into view, terrified, exhausted. "It's Liam." Another voice, softer and trembling, pleads, "Please stop." Then the screen cuts to black. Claire's reflection stares back from the monitor, her expression hardening. "We are reopening this case," she says quietly. In the background, thunder rolls again, longer this time, as if the storm itself knows what's coming. Morning breaks over the quiet suburb, but the Hawthorne house feels untouched by light. Detective Claire Monroe stands in the kitchen, staring at 2 untouched cups of coffee on the counter, as if the family had been waiting for someone who never came back. Officer Grant flips through old photographs scattered across the table. Birthdays, vacations, school recitals. Each picture shows Liam smiling beside his parents, but Claire notices something strange. "Look closer," she says. In every photo, Liam's smile fades, frame by frame, year by year, until in the final image, he's barely visible at all, standing behind them, blurred. "He was disappearing long before he vanished," she murmurs. The interrogation room hums with the sound of the old ceiling fan. Daniel Hawthorne sits across from Claire, eyes fixed on the table. "We tried to raise him right," he mutters. Claire's gaze doesn't waver. "What happened to him, Daniel?" Silence. "You don't know what it's like," he says, voice cracking. "To see your own child change." His hands tremble slightly as he lifts a glass of water. Claire leans forward. "He didn't change." "You did." Daniel's jaw tightens. His mask slips for a second. The camera catches his reflection in the mirror. Hollow, fractured, a man built on fear. At the police station, Claire and Grant examine a series of audio recordings found with the tapes. With certain tapes, static crackles as a child's voice speaks. "I'll be good this time." Then a man's voice, Daniel's, says, "You will learn." The sound cuts abruptly. Grant rubs his temples. He called it teaching. Claire's eyes narrow. "No," she says quietly. "He called it control." She pulls a file labeled Social Services Report 2013. The notes inside are redacted, names blacked out, pages missing. "Someone covered this up," she whispers. Outside, rain begins again, faint but steady, like the heartbeat of a secret too big to contain. That evening, Claire drives to the old elementary school where Liam once studied. The building is abandoned, windows boarded, graffiti covering the walls. She enters through a broken side door. The smell of mildew and dust fills her lungs. In a forgotten classroom, she finds a faded yearbook under a pile of papers. Liam's photo is circled in pen, and beneath it someone has written, "He saw it happen." Her heartbeat quickens. "Saw what?" she whispers. The wind moans through cracked windows, carrying faint echoes of children's laughter long gone. Night again. Claire sits in her car outside the Hawthorne house, headlights off. Inside, Daniel and Emily's silhouettes move behind the curtains. Her phone buzzes. A message from the forensics team. The remains aren't Liam's. She stares at the screen, disbelief washing over her. "Then whose body did we find?" she whispers. Across the street, a single light flicks on in the neighbor's house. An old woman peers through the blinds watching. The truth isn't buried. It's watching back. The Hawthorne basement is sealed again. But Claire returns alone. Her flashlight sweeps across the room, illuminating the spot where the crate once sat. Now, there's only concrete. She kneels, pressing her palm against the floor. It sounds hollow. "What were you hiding, Daniel?" she whispers. A faint scrape echoes behind her. She turns sharply. Nothing. Then her beam catches something, a faint line in the wall, like a hidden door. Claire prees at the edge with a crowbar until plaster cracks open. Behind it, dust pours out, and a small black video camera stares back at her from the darkness, still blinking red, recording. Back at the precinct, the recovered footage plays. Static fades, revealing the Hawthorne living room years ago. The camera shakes as if hidden. Daniel sits in an armchair, watching a young Liam playing piano. "Louder," Daniel says off camera. Liam hesitates, pressing another key. "Louder," Daniel yells. A slap echoes, followed by a small sob. Emily's voice enters, trembling. "He is just a child," Daniel shouts. "He'll thank us one day." The screen flickers. The camera shifts, revealing Emily glancing directly at it, terrified. Claire freezes the frame. She knew it was there. she whispers. Claire visits Emily again, this time without backup. Emily sits at the kitchen table, a mug of untouched tea before her. "You found it, didn't you?" she says before Claire can speak. Claire sets the printed still frame on the table, Emily looking into the hidden camera. Tears gather in Emily's eyes. "He wanted proof," she whispers. "Proof that he was right, that he could fix our son." Claire's voice softens. "And you let him?" Emily shakes her head, trembling. "I tried to stop him. But after what happened in the woods," her voice breaks. "I thought it was over." Claire leans in. "What happened in the woods?" Emily's silence says more than words ever could. Claire drives to the edge of the forest behind the Hawthorne home. Mud swallows her boots as she walks deeper in. The wind whistles through skeletal branches. After 20 yards, she finds it. An old wooden post sticking out of the ground, wrapped with police tape faded by time. She kneels beside it and brushes away leaves, revealing a half-buried shoe. Small, worn, and unmistakably a child's. Her radio crackles faintly, but she doesn't respond. The silence of the woods presses in, suffocating. Somewhere, a crow calls once, sharp and echoing. She whispers, "Liam, what did they do to you?" That night, Claire reviews the recovered tapes alone in her hotel room. Each one is worse than the last. Shouting, crying, silence. Then, on the final tape, the camera shows the basement. Daniel stands holding something wrapped in a blanket. He's crying. "I didn't mean to," he says. Emily's voice trembles from behind the camera. "We can't call anyone." Then Daniel looks straight into the lens, into the viewer, and whispers, "No one will find him." The tape cuts out. Claire sits frozen, tears forming in her eyes, whispering to herself, "Then who did we find?" The police lab is silent except for the hum of machines. Claire watches a technician restore one of the damaged recordings. Grainy footage clears into focus. Emily holding a small child who isn't Liam. "He won't stop crying," she says, voice trembling. Daniel answers from off-camera, "That's not ours. Don't touch him." The screen flickers, distorts, and cuts to black. Claire's chest tightens. "Another child," she whispers. The technician looks up. Timestamp says 3 months before Liam went missing. The room feels colder. Claire's eyes narrow. Then there's someone else buried in that house. Back at the Hawthorne home, Claire confronts Daniel again. "There was another child," she says. His eyes flicker. "You don't know what you're talking about." Claire leans closer. "I saw the tape." "Who was he?" Daniel's composure fractures. "It was a mistake," he mutters. "We were supposed to look after him, just for a few weeks. His parents, they never came back." Claire's voice sharpens. "So you buried him?" Daniel's head sinks into his hands. "We didn't mean to. He fell. It was an accident." Claire's expression turns cold. "And you covered it up by pretending Liam was gone." Daniel doesn't answer. "He doesn't have to." That evening, Emily is brought in. She sits silently in the same chair Daniel occupied hours earlier. Claire sets a small recorder on the table. "Tell me what happened," she says softly. Emily's hands tremble. "He was only 2, she begins. Daniel lost his temper. I begged him to stop shouting. Then, it happened." She covers her mouth, choking back sobs. "We couldn't tell anyone, so we said Liam ran away. Daniel said if anyone found out, we'd lose everything." Claire's eyes glisten. "You already did," she says quietly. The recorder clicks off. The silence afterward feels like judgment itself. Claire revisits the forest with a full forensic team. As the ground is dug where the shoe was found, one of the technicians calls out, "We've got something." The team moves carefully, brushing away dirt. A second small skeleton emerges beside the post. The bones are tiny. Far too small to be Liam's. Claire stares at the remains as the team falls silent. "That's the other child," she says, voice trembling. Rain begins to fall, pattering softly on the excavation tarps. Grant steps beside her, whispering, "Then where's Liam?" Claire looks into the woods, where fog drifts through the trees like ghosts. He's still out there. That night, in the precinct, Claire pieces together the timeline on a wall covered in photos, tape markings and notes. 2 children, 2 lies, 1 missing truth. She stares at Liam's photograph, his shy eyes staring back from the past. The sound of rain against the windows echoes like footsteps. Suddenly, her phone vibrates. An unknown number. She answers. Silence. Then a boy's voice, faint, broken. "Please, stop them." The line cuts out. Claire's hand shakes as she stares at her phone. "It can't be," she whispers. "He's alive." The interrogation room is silent. Emily sits alone, staring at her reflection in the one-way glass. Claire enters and sets a single photo on the table. The small skeleton from the woods. "We know this wasn't Liam," she says. Emily's eyes flick upward, glassy and empty. "Then you already know," she whispers. Claire sits across from her, voice steady. "We found recordings, Emily. We know about the other boy, but there's more, isn't there?" Emily nods slowly. Liam saw everything. "He wasn't supposed to." Claire leans in. "What did he see?" Emily's voice cracks. "The night the boy died, Liam was the one who screamed for help. Daniel stopped him." The words hang heavy in the air, each one colder than the last. Daniel's cell door opens. Claire steps inside, standing quietly as he sits on his bunk, eyes hollow. "Emily told me everything," she says. "You silenced your son to hide your first crime." Daniel doesn't look up. "You think I meant for any of it to happen?" he mutters. Claire crosses her arms. "You meant to bury it." Daniel finally meets her gaze, his voice shaking. "You weren't there." He wouldn't stop screaming. "I panicked." Claire's voice drops, barely audible. "You killed him." Daniel exhales, tears streaming down. "No, I thought I did." Claire's expression freezes. "What do you mean you thought?" Daniel's lips tremble. "When I went back, his body was gone." That night, Claire revisits the footage from the final recovered tape, the one she thought had ended abruptly. She plays it again, slowing the speed. After Daniel drops the blanket and runs off screen, the camera keeps rolling. Minutes later, movement. A small hand pushes the blanket aside. The child coughs weakly, eyes opening. In's Liam, alive, terrified, and crawling toward the camera before the feed cuts out. Claire sits frozen, heart pounding. "He lived," she whispers. "He lived." Claire drives to the woods again under a black sky. Rain falls harder now, thunder rolling in the distance. She follows the trail behind the house, flashlight slicing through fog. The ground is slick, but something glints ahead, a metal latch, half buried beneath roots. She pulls it free and discovers a wooden trapdoor. She hesitates, breathing hard, then lifts it open. The beam of her light cuts through darkness, revealing a narrow staircase descending underground. A faint sound rises, dripping water, and something else. Breathing. The underground chamber smells of rot and damp air. Claire descends slowly, her flashlight shaking. The narrow tunnel opens into a small concrete room. Old toys lie scattered across the floor. A ball, a broken truck, a stuffed rabbit. A child's voice echoes faintly from deeper inside. Is someone there? Claire freezes. "Liam," she whispers. The beam of her light catches movement. A figure stepping from the shadows. Small, frail, eyes wide. It's him, pale, alive, and terrified. She drops the flashlight, her voice trembling. "Oh, my God. You've been here all this time." The sound of Claire's breathing fills the dark chamber. Her flashlight flickers over the small boy standing before her, gaunt, trembling, eyes reflecting both fear and confusion. He blinks, uncertain, the word foreign after years of silence. "You're safe now," she adds, voice shaking. He flinches, backing toward the shadows. Claire slowly kneels, lowering the flashlight. "It's okay," she says softly. "No one's going to hurt you anymore." Then she notices the chains bolted to the wall behind him. Snapped, rusted, old. Her voice drops to a whisper. "How long were you down here?" The boy's lips part, dry and cracked. Since the screaming stopped, Claire carries Liam up from the tunnel, each step echoing like the pulse of something rising from the grave. Outside, rain lashes the trees, and the forest seems to shudder with them. Paramedics rush forward, wrapping him in blankets, shining flashlights into his eyes. He winces but doesn't speak. He's malnourished, one medic says, but alive. Claire stands motionless, staring at the boy in disbelief. 8 years. 8 years in darkness beneath their home. Grant steps beside her. "So he was here all along," he says quietly. Claire nods slowly. They built their life on top of him. Hours later at the hospital, Claire watches through the glass as doctors examine Liam. Electrodes, drips, quiet voices. But his eyes, they never leave the window. He stares outward, unblinking. Claire's phone rings. It's the lab. The voice on the other end trembles. "Detective, we just confirmed the DNA from the body in the basement." Claire turns toward the window, eyes narrow. "It's not the other boy," the voice says. "It's Daniel Hawthorne." The hallway falls silent. Claire looks back at Liam, still staring through the glass, his reflection overlapping with hers. Her whisper barely escapes. "Then who killed his father?" Claire returns to the house, now stripped and silent. The lights flicker weakly as she walks through the kitchen, her footsteps echoing against the tile. On the counter lies a dried bloodstain. Small, circular. She follows it down the hall to the basement door, which now stands wide open. Her flashlight scans the floor. There, near the old crate, lies a rusty hammer caked in dried mud. She kneels beside it. The handle bears tiny fingerprints. She stares, realization dawning slowly. Painfully, he wasn't the victim, she whispers. He finished what they started. Back at the hospital, alarms blare. Nurses rush into Liam's room. The bed is empty. The window is open, curtains billowing in the wind. Claire burst through the door seconds later, flashlight sweeping across the room. On the bedsheet, written in shaky, childlike handwriting, are 3 words. "He won't stop." The wind howls through the window, carrying the faint echo of a boy's voice, distant, cold, and almost pleading. Claire stares into the darkness outside, whispering, "Where are you, Liam?" But the night gives no answer. Morning breaks over the town like nothing happened. Police cars surround the hospital, but the boy is gone. Detective Claire Monroe stands outside, coat drawn tight against the cold wind. Officer Grant joins her, holding a folded note sealed in a plastic bag. "They found this on the stairwell," he says. Claire opens it slowly. It's written in shaky handwriting. "Don't look for me." She stares out toward the forest beyond the city skyline. "He was never lost," she murmurs. "He just wanted to disappear." Later, inside her office, Claire removes all the photos from the caseboard one by one. Liam's image stays for last, his eyes frozen in that faint, uncertain smile. She pins a small slip of paper beneath it. Case open. Subject alive. Grant appears at the doorway. "You're still not going to close it?" Claire shakes her head. "You can't close something that never really ended." The room falls silent except for the ticking clock, a reminder that time moves forward even when truth doesn't. That evening, Claire drives to the edge of the forest. The road is empty. She parks by the same trail that led to the underground chamber. A single child's footprint marks the damp soil, half washed by rain. She crouches down, pressing her hand over it. "I hope you find peace out there," she whispers. The forest answers with silence, but it feels softer this time, not hostile, only tired. The wind moves through the branches like a slow sigh, carrying away the weight of years. Weeks later, news spreads quietly through the town. No one saw Liam again, but people claim they sometimes hear music near the old Hawthorne property. A single piano note, faint and repeating. Claire returns once more, standing outside the sealed house. She peers through a cracked window. Inside, dust floats through beams of light, and the piano sits untouched. She presses her hand to the glass, whispering, "You're free now." The last note fades, and the air finally feels still. Claire drives away down the quiet road. In her rearview mirror, the Hawthorne house disappears behind trees. The voiceover closes softly. "Some truths don't destroy us. They free us. But freedom has a price. To live knowing what can never be undone." As the car disappears into the distance, the screen fades to black. For a brief moment, faint piano notes play. The same melody from the tapes, now calm, almost gentle, then silence.